Hey, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Dr. Ariel Hammond, and this is the Enrichment Entrepreneur, a podcast for current and aspiring entrepreneurs who are in the business of helping kids thrive. We're talking after school programs, summer camps, tutoring, enrichment, the people and places that show up for kids outside the classroom. I'm still building right alongside you, and that's exactly why we're here, to learn, grow, and figure this out together.
Let's go!
Hello and welcome back to the Enrichment Entrepreneur. My name is Ariel, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Seth Miller, the founder of the Portland Sound Academy. Seth, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and the Sound Academy?
Yeah. Hey, Ariel. Thanks so much for having me. First off, I'm a huge fan and am so excited to be here and join the large number of others I know that you have coming on the show and contributing to all our communities around the greater Northwest. So thanks so much for having me. As you mentioned, my name is Seth. I operate and own an organization based on the east side of Portland, Oregon, called the Portland Sound Academy. I've lived in Portland for going on 5, has it been 6 years already? Goodness. And have a 2.5-year-old son, and ultimately have been a member of our Portland music and gigging and jam scene here, and have been inspired by a lot of those individuals and some others to start a school kind of in the image of a place that I volunteered for a long time in Chicago, which is where I moved from before moving here with my wife, Grace. And that organization is called the Old Town School of Folk Music. And like I said, I experienced such an open-ended community of folk and bluegrass and otherwise players here in Portland. I thought it made sense to network, bring everyone together, and we aim to do in-class sessions for kids, and as well as summer camps and a number of different things. As you know, it all comes together pretty quickly, and so excited to talk about it with you today.
Mm-hmm. So in our previous conversation, Seth, you mentioned that you've been in the Portland jam community for quite a few years now, and now you're teaching kids the same ways that adults play together. Is that low stake circle format an underused model in kids enrichment right now? And if so, why do you think others miss that opportunity?
Sure. Well, I can't speak to whether or not it's underutilized across the board, but as far as I know, I don't run into it often. If I were to speak from my own experience and the experience of people I know, I think music learning can oftentimes be a bit of a siloed experience between yourself and your instrument, spent in your own room, which is great. You have to work there too. But as I mentioned, we as an adult community in Portland, and there are plenty of other cities and areas that value that kind of, to your point, playing in a circle. We call it picking in the round, passing around songs, being able to solo over chord progressions that are become a little bit standardized once you understand this format of the Nashville number system, and maybe we'll get more into that in just a second. But essentially, as adults, we all jam together here openly. Why can't our kids? It's really fun. It brings a high level of community, camaraderie, and confidence to anyone who's willing to kind of throw, let's face it, music is a personal thing. If you're willing to do that and come back and experience friendships, I think they run pretty deeply. And in short, if any child out there or young person wants to learn music, the barrier for them to do that should be as low as possible.
Agreed. What is the Nashville number system for those who don't know?
I will try to stay as high level as possible,
Okay.
but I teach, obviously this is a music school. I'm a guitarist first, and the Nashville number system is what I describe as one of the rooms you should spend a lot of time in while you're learning these stringed instruments. There's a number of different methodologies to learn your playing, but the Nashville number system is essentially an easy to learn way of mapping chords and keys. It's used, like I said, hyper frequently in folk and bluegrass music to just identify a song, a key, allow everyone to adjust their mindset for that key and then move forward. And I think after just a little bit of time spending with, again, it's a number system, less so than a letter-based system. It works for different brains and for various reasons. And it all comes from something that was originally from Pythagoras. You might know his Pythagorean theorem, but it's all based in a really easy to understand format. And again, kids learn even quicker than we do as adults. I just, if you could put yourself in the shoes of your younger self, being able to go, if you're into music or whatever your thing is, of course. But if you wanted to play with your friends after school, or you think it would have been cool to meet a kid a couple years older than you and learn some things from them in a more open place, that's kind of what we're trying to create here for them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So now we're going to go back to your journey in your previous career and then how you ended up doing the work you're doing today. So can you talk to us about what your career was before working in kids enrichment, and what was the gap between what you were doing then, what you were doing now, and what made you go in on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, I think we all have our own story with regards to that. I am by trade a corporate software human resources based salesperson. I've sold a lot of HCM software, and these abbreviations won't mean that much to too many people. But I've had to think very strategically about operations, business, costs, work with leaders to close projects and things like that. I think, as a number of individuals look at how to apply their, whether it's corporate skills and experience or otherwise, to their communities, we'll see a lot more people having positive impacts, doing things with positive intent. And I spend my time in Portland doing a lot of things, hopefully in that regard, but all in the vein of music. So this school is kind of my largest focus right now, and certainly as we talk about getting it in front of the Portland public school system here, for the most part, I think is what we're trying to accomplish in our next phase.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Can you walk me through how Portland Sound Academy actually started? What were you and your wife navigating and that made you decide to start building?
Yeah, absolutely. So in short, I became a dad 2.5+ years ago, and that'll change anyone's perspective on the world, of course. I guess back in June of this past year, my wife Grace and I, again 2.5-year-old parents, experienced a little bit of, I guess, shifting in our corporate landscapes, which thankfully offered us the opportunity to take a bit of a corporate sabbatical and focus on some of the things that we're passionate about, invest in our house here in Portland, be with our son and our dog, all of those great things. And this has been the thing for me that has always been what I want to do. I've always grown in the corporate world from a learning perspective, but I've always done my best, I hope, to be involved in my communities, from coaching baseball and a bit of soccer to providing music lessons. And this whole thing came about basically as a fresh idea, but something that's based off of something that already exists, as many things do. And that's the Old Town School of Folk Music, as I had mentioned earlier. I volunteered there for just a couple years, but was hugely impacted by what they do. And they're a world-renowned organization for helping kids find folk music and stringed instruments. Again, the barrier to entry is not that great, and they make it get really even easier. So that was a huge inspiration behind this. And again, I guess at the end of the day, our mission is just to bring camaraderie, community, and confidence to anyone who is hoping to join others to play music.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So,
Thank you.
my next question, you discovered Portland's bluegrass and jam scene as an adult, and something about playing music in a low-stakes circle with no pressure clearly changed things for you. What specifically did you feel in those rooms that you knew kids needed as well?
Well, I might just be a large kid at heart, and maybe that's why hopefully this will
Mm-hmm.
this will work. Um, I it's not that I found music too late in my life by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm hyper grateful for all the experiences that I've had. But I think to your point, when I started experiencing this idea of open circle jamming, and if I could never to challenge you, Ariel, of course, but there's always stakes in stepping in front of someone to do a podcast, to speak publicly, to go on a walk and be a parent in public. There's an aspect of needing to, of like learning everywhere. And I just found myself feeling so at home, and not to ever think if I could have found this sooner, but gosh, if younger people, if adults can feel empowered and confident, right? And fight through their nerves of, am I good enough to play? And then it doesn't matter. And you're just having fun. And before you know it, you're talking to people who are part of different communities than you that could introduce you to whole different little worlds, and things are kind of colliding in that way. And I was just taken back to my young self learning music again, mostly self-taught. And I hope that our academy teaches people kind of how to teach themselves and learn with others. You'll always need to lean on a teacher, just like we all should, lean on our doctors, our therapists. But I just found myself being like, if I had this as a kid, it would have been really, just a really inspiring place to come and be. And who knows what can take off when a young person starts to learn those things. And again, I say community and camaraderie, but it's confidence that you're getting more so than anything when you're walking away from those excited to come back to them, as opposed to nervous or the opposite.
Yep, that makes sense. That's the energy that we want. Can you describe Portland Sound Academy to someone who's never heard of it? They've never been in a program. So if I sign my child up, what would their first session look like, feel like, sound like?
Yeah. So as it stands today, and every idea starts with a bit of a seed and a root, the Portland Sound Academy exists as guitar, mandolin, and banjo lessons. We're trying to work on fiddle lessons for all ages. It's open online. We have a form that we're working on our website. We have an Instagram page. That information I'm sure will be shared here that will link out to a form. Should be super easy to sign up, designate your instrument, how much experience you have, if any. But essentially, the Portland Sound Academy is intended to sound open-ended because it is a little bit. If you have a question about learning music, or if you have a question about networking through music in your community or with music through your community, it's possible we know people who know where to start, or could teach you at a rate that's less than what you might experience for a professional, for a more, I shouldn't say our lessons aren't professional, but again, for a lesson that might require more cost or a higher barrier of learning, whatever the case might be. We really want to meet you where you're at with your music and allow the next step that you take to be as easy and comfortable as possible. And a lot of times that starts with a guitar lesson. The most common thing, you can't overthink stuff. Kids love, parents and kids both really value guitar lessons. It's the greatest instrument on the planet for a reason. There's 6 awesome strings and a fantastic puzzle to learn. And some of the greatest musicians of all time have dedicated their lives to it. So it's a super easy way for them to denote if it's a child and who their guardian is, or if they're an adult, what their preferences are. Not very long at all. Much, Ariel, like you're familiar with passing along some of this information through your organizational entrepreneurship. We try to keep it as simple as possible to get in front of them. And that first lesson, it can have. There's always a take home for practice, but again, we believe in instilling confidence and leaving the lesson better than you found it, so that you want to interact with your instrument at home and then come back. And for a lot of kids, that just means talking through what they're interested in, how they want to learn the instrument, how they'd like to teach themselves. If they don't have a basis of knowledge, we have a process, of course, but music means something so different to everyone. And heck, our son's, again, 2.5 years old. It already means something different to him than it does some of his classmates, which we're thrilled about. And hopefully maybe someday they'll be students here in the PSA.
Yep. They will be.
I hope so.
Yep. Many kids in our community will be.
Get those flyers out.
Yep. I want to segue back to you building the business. So right now you have some instructors who are teaching alongside you. How did you structure that And what have you learned about bringing other people into your program as you grow your business?
Yeah, another deep question that
I
anyone
know.
can learn from. We could talk so much about. No, I know, but and you and I have vibed on that question for a
Yeah.
bit, so we'll stay high level, and hopefully this can help some people. It's difficult. That's the side of it that you need to wake up with a little bit of wherewithal, right? The passion and the stuff that we just talked about kind of comes naturally, and then you have to figure out how to apply some of that. Like I said, I'm lucky to have maybe at least a little bit of process learning in a corporate setting that has taught me at the very least organization of things. When it comes to the instructors, that's what's easiest, but also what's most difficult. They're incredible. And hopefully you can, if you, the whole another reason I started this was because of the ease of access I had to really awesome players who, a given structure, might be more interested in teaching others if they had a place to maybe log in and do that and manage their time, which is in the essence what our next phase of the organization is really making sure that those instructors can be paired with the right kids, the right adults, whomever's trying to learn. The instructors can be easily scheduled for anything like camps that were to happen outside of the home or outside of our headquarters here. But again, scheduling people, I find, and this is in my corporate life and my personal life, it's scheduling people. And we do our best, I think, we're learning, as you know, but we use things like Calendly, and we just try to lean into a lot of those free services. If you can use the Google suite in the right way, if that's our preferred thing, but I'm sure Microsoft has theirs, or, Outlook has theirs, and there's some other shared sites, what have you. Anywho, we try to just get creative with how we use those, and again, connect people to the information as quickly as possible. And for scheduling, that's difficult because again, you want these awesome people to be with you, but you don't want to if someone raised their hand and says, yeah, I could be interested in that, that's not a green light to just kind of inundate them with your dreams sometimes. And you want to be respectful of their time when they're offering it in this kind of capacity. Certainly right now there's payment, of course, but we're, as any small startup, we're not experiencing profit aside from maybe a good meal at a food cart nearby, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how the best of us start out. We're bootstrapping, we're building on our own, and it starts off with the meals. And food carts are so expensive nowadays. So,
Dude, Ariel, yeah,
you
you're not
know,
lying.
one little plate, like $25, $30. All right.
But
So yeah.
I think to your point there, if your idea resonates with yourself, you have a
Mhm.
responsibility to go maybe share it with another person. If it takes off with them, and then other people start to say yes, well then, you might have a responsibility to do something about it. Not to say that anyone needs to feel that way, but
Yeah.
those instructors are interested. Hopefully they see kind of the vision of what it could bring, not just to the community, but to the next iterations of the organization and what it could mean. Obviously, mobile technology and w- look, I'm not even going to touch on the AI piece, and I don't really believe in it much for things like learning organic music or spending time with one another. It might have some of its plays, but we're well read on all of it. And again, we want to meet everyone where they're at with their
Mhm.
technology and make sure it's easy for them to sign up and get help.
Quick break. I'm building NROPS, an all-in-one operations platform built specifically for kids enrichment, entrepreneurs, and operators. I built it because I needed it. Go to getinrops.com to learn more and get on the list. Okay, back to the episode. You just talked about something that I think is really important as we all learn more about AI that's always rapidly developing, to armor ourselves with knowledge and to see, well, how does this new technology interact with what I'm doing, and how can it complement and assist what I'm doing? And what are the parts that it doesn't replace? What's the core humanity in what I'm doing that AI cannot replace? And how can I double down on that humanity and make those essential parts of the experience and the value of what I'm doing? How can I
Yep.
expand that and use AI and use tools and use every tool and technology I have to my availability to do that. Like, they don't have to be in competition. And the more we lean in and learn, like you said, you've already done a deep dive into that to know, okay, this is where it can help me, and this is where it's not a threat to what I'm doing, and I'm safe.
Yeah, and I think imagine my software background and corporate career helps with staying up on some of that. And I will say this: I don't want to hide behind the fact that it is a threat if we don't use it the right way. It could do anything from ingest the conversation we're having right now and go. So without getting into all that, I do think there are a few ways it can really, really help entrepreneurs. In a few areas, it should be treated with extreme caution as you think about your own personal, long-standing brand in your own marketplace. Because right now we're at a moment in time that is existing in an AI-based vacuum. And right, wrong, or indifferent, in 5 years, you could look back on this moment in time in a number of different ways, as could the people who interact with your organization or your business, your entrepreneurship, your brand as a person. And for example, right now, one of the largest kind of yin and yang things that people are either comfortable with or not is using it for these things like art. Obviously, I think we're all maybe in agreement that someone's song being stolen from them by a machine is not good, but there are areas where it can really help. Or like an image, for example. It's so easy to curate an AI-based image that will do almost exactly what you need it to do to get your message across. But there could be a world down the road where your audience doesn't appreciate that sort of approach to your business. And I'm not trying to I'm just trying to contextualize so that people can think about their own entrepreneurship in the right way. In our organization so far, it's great for things like scheduling. Like if you're like, gosh, how do I create a platform for scheduling? As long as you're, again, using these things in the right ways. I don't want to get into environmental impacts and stuff like that, but scheduling, all of the automated things behind the scenes that you would need to do. Of course, Ariel, to book podcast guests, those types of things, very useful. I think it's when you start to get into the creative aspect of things. Right. We're all based in community work. A lot of us are focused in whether it's art or flower arrangement or design. Somehow we're expressing some sort of creativity, and an artificial intelligence it can help you do that with a photo, but you're not getting the process out of your creativity from doing that. And I think at our organization, we want to be really careful about, that the images we use are one, of course, if we use images of students, they're totally signed off on, given permission to use. Obviously, website security and protection for us is really important when all that gets started. And these are community and kid-based organizations, so we take that really seriously. And what we push out of our content, what we create from our sound academy, I think we have a huge opportunity maybe to lean into our community for some of those pieces of art and materials we would need, as opposed to maybe ask AI to do it. So it's all just to say, we can tell it to do a lot of good things, but when it comes to going out and interacting with your community, you should have it do the automated thing so you can go interact with your community and you can go be a master of your reality and your environment and your relationships. Sorry, that was long-winded. I certainly did not mean to get on a track of all that, but it's going to be in our faces more than it already has here pretty quickly. So hopefully that's valuable.
Yes, I think a lot of us are thinking about it, quite often and interacting with it. I'm AI right now. I'm not even here.
That's a theory out there. Let's not start that.
For some people, it actually, like, if you're famous enough and you have enough stuff, that is your voice.
If we would start a podcast
generated
about,
and
like the relativity theory and the multiverse and all that, my band is based in science fiction novels, so let's be careful we don't get off track. I'm just joking.
And then AI will help us edit this. So there we go.
Yeah. No, yep.
Yep. All right. So next, I want to go to some hard lessons that you've learned along the way and sharing that with our audience. So, what has been the hardest part of going from a structured corporate career to building something from scratch in the enrichment space?
Oh, that's a great question. I even tried to prepare for this. It's tough to like pin sometimes nail down what the lesson is that you're learning at the time. I think like human interaction and listening to others and leaning on people and being comfortable asking for help or asking for guidance, assistance with your ideas, much like we're doing right now, is again, being a master of your reality and your environment. You're in full control of that. And uh, I think spending time out in your community, in our case, is the biggest.
Mhm.
You can put so much work into like building the corporate structure, or I shouldn't even say that, but just the Google forms, the trying to make sure the website's ready to launch when you're ready. Do you have the costs associated? Really, like at the end of the day, I want to teach people music. Let's get some flyers out there. Let's get them in. Let's get them sharing how this should be done. Let's lean on other smart people, and they'll tell us what our organization kind of needs to become. We'll make it as fun as possible along the way, and as inclusive as possible along the way. But I think into the community thing, lean into your why always, so that the other things, when you have to sit down with the coffee or in the afternoon and really crank out those things that not all of us are great
Mhm.
at on the laptop, that you're ready to do that and you know why you're doing it.
Yeah, agreed. I'd say the hardest part for me is the money. To go
Yeah,
from a career where the money is guaranteed, the salary is there, the money comes in predictably, and then the money that comes into my account is like all mine. It's not like, oh, this amount of money comes into the account, and then actually all of it has to go to expenses. Oh, wait, there's none left for me. And that has happened a lot of times. And
yeah,
with my career, it was not like that. So it is a very stark contrast in financial differences there. So for me, that was the hardest part, that regular, stable income.
yeah, and I commend you, because the end goal for this, I mean, I enjoy my work and my career, but or, my corporate career, but it's a two-sided coin, where that's an element of safety for that reason, but also if we can get this thing working and I can start worrying a little bit more about profit and revenue, and again, just driving that community aspect. You can't do it unless
Mhm.
you get out there and do it. But you're totally right. I think we were talking, not to bring up our past conversations, but I know you and I, maybe just as we talk through this, I just find that even when the like bank account gets a little low, and I guess I'm in sales, so I've always been looking at some sort of bank account, whether it's mine or someone else's. At least I like the stress of knowing it's my bank account. Like, and it's not someone else's. I don't belong to someone else's work. So I don't know. You're right. The stress is huge financially, but it's different. And maybe that's just spoken like someone who has a little bit more of a cushion right now and doesn't know,
Yes.
no, for sure. But my wife and I talk about that a lot. And I guess I'd also say, for any organizational or community-based entrepreneur, your family is your first part of your community. You don't have to go into business with your family, but their support, at least for me and for us and for our instructors, really goes a long way. And
Mhm.
if you're doing anything community-based, it's not really, you should meet with them if you have a partner or someone that you're leaning on. You're that first ex-officer, if I can use my science fictions, but that first officer
Mhm.
of yours should be in your ear. You should value what they have to say, and hopefully you've surrounded yourself with people who can do that for you, because no entrepreneur, quite the opposite, no entrepreneur can do anything on their own. I actually need like more help sometimes.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what you spoke about previously, which is having to do everything for a business versus having that specialty that you focus on. And no
yeah.
one is good at everything. That's why most organizations have very specific roles. But then when you have to do it all yourself as you get started, it is very humbling to know, okay, well, marketing, advertising, I really don't have that kind of brain. Maybe I have more of a sales brain, or maybe I'm really, great at partnerships, relationship building, or I'm
Yeah,
really good at curriculum, or I'm really a great instructor teacher myself. Well, now how do I teach others to do those things? Or I'm really great at HR and hiring and talent recruitment, but I still have to
exactly.
do everything until I can get the leverage of having others helping me so I
Yep.
can work on what I'm great at. So yeah.
And people you can trust and that beliefs you can disseminate some of that information. And I'm so sorry, Ariel. I know I have a couple other questions, but I think this is important.
Hmm.
This comes from my corporate world too, but it helps anyone. And you'd be surprised how many large like sales based software organizations don't do these things, but how much it helps. Have a quarterly check in with yourself
Hmm.
or whatever it looks like for you. I'm a big believer in bullet journaling. So I guess like learn about yourself, learn what processes work for you. Are you a morning person? Are you a night person? Do you like to watch basketball and do your automated,
Mm.
your technical work at night? You should like you're learning about your community, you're learning about your business. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you should be learning about that autobiography of yourself. You don't have to write it someday. Hopefully, you do great things and people will ask you to, but you need to know when you're most effective, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And then to your point, how to cultivate people you can trust to help you with your weaknesses
Mm.
and just check in. My wife and I have we do one-on-ones every week on Sunday for her business and for my business. It doesn't have to do with our corporate life. It's just more of a check-in to bounce ideas. We're both very different people, so as you can
Mhm.
imagine, it can be a challenge at times. Other times, it can be all warm and fuzzy, but you have to have those moments. You have to be not intelligent. You have to be, I'm not even intelligent. You have to be intentional with your time and how you organize it. And again,
Mhm.
if you have a little bit of scatterbrainness, I'll call it, know how your bullet journal works and commit to those things. It's just really important.
Yeah, agreed. Especially in the beginning when you are your entire team. When you're scattered, then the entire business goes awry. It
Yep.
doesn't make the progress that you need it to make. So yeah, agreed. That self-awareness is so much more crucial. I've really realized that like when you're an entrepreneur, especially a solopreneur, but any type of entrepreneur, your strengths and weaknesses are amplified. They're highlighted because you can see exactly your deficits reflected in the business. Like they just come
Yes.
right back to you. Everything's disorganized in the business. Customers are letting you know, whoa, I'm disorganized. Like
Yep.
it just immediately materially manifests and reflects back to you in a way that if we are reflective and really just take those as learning experiences, we can rapidly make iterations and improve our own performance.
Yep. For sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So is there anything that you tried in the early days that didn't work the way you expected, and how did you adjust?
Yeah, it's still a bit of the early days for us, but if I was to talk about like the very early days,
Mhm.
um, I think just go do. You don't have to have everything planned before you go start to take action if your intentions are good, of course, and
Mhm.
barring there are things to be set up maybe from um, an LLC perspective or a legal liability and risk perspective, of course, as you interact with your business, just go start to do it. Pass out the flyers. Get a simple, it doesn't have to, I get caught up in formatting. I'm like, it has to look the best. No, it doesn't. It has to have your information and people have to get behind you when you give it to them. So it's all good. Press print on the Zazzle order and go start handing out your cards. If there's one thing I've learned, and I don't know, I mean, we're kind of Portland area,
Mhm.
Ariel, and I feel this in the Northwest, but certainly in Portland. Not only will people support your ideas, they'll come out and encourage your ideas, but you just have to let them know they exist. No one's
Yeah.
knocking on your door to come ask about your ideas. I would like to. I mean, if you, wherever you live, I'd love to come and ask about them and see if I can help you, but that's not really happening, right? Knock,
Mhm.
knock, knock. What's your passion? How can I best help you? That's on you to go, to go lean on your community, but they want you to. As someone
Yeah.
who is in sales and kind of a more of a teacher provider salesperson who's not at all a, hey, let me sell this to you. I'm more, am I bothering you with your time? But I think
Mhm.
I have something good. You're like, that's not even a real salesperson, right? But
Right.
you go out there and you show it to them, and a lot of times like, no, that, I've been looking for that, and you just
Mhm.
never know.
Yeah, agreed. And I love that perspective. Like, people want you to succeed. People want to help you. You just got to show up and put it out there so they know and they can help you.
And Ariel, not to go backwards on us, but on the like kind of checking in with yourself and creating maybe whether it's a quarterly, a monthly
Mhm.
rubric, be ready to not meet those first goals, right? They're going to be, whether it's you're already, but like if they're going to be too lofty or they're not, they're going to be a little scattered. You're every time you set those and come back to yourself and say, okay, I've made it 30% this week. Wow. It's not your fault. You're learning how to structure your time and how to get more out of your goals. They do have to be smart goals at the end of the day. And you have to be able to achieve them and measure them. And you'll learn once you're like, wow, that was way too much. It's like
Yeah.
you think you're going to do your whole landscaping routine for the springtime in like the afternoon. Like, no, it's a 3-day project, bud, at least in the Northwest.
Yeah. And we get better at that the more
But give
times we do
yourself
that, as you
permission.
said.
Give yourself permission to not do well up front, because
Mhm.
it's more about that front part, the passion, than all of the other, and that you're doing the work, than that it looks super pretty. That'll come with time.
Yeah. Progress over perfection.
Yep. Yep.
So next I wanted to talk about your big vision. Can you describe your long-term vision with the Portland Sound Academy and where you hope that goes, the big end game for it?
Yeah, without kind of giving letting the cat out of the bag for anyone who's already working on this, because I think there's a big marketplace for it. The ability to essentially connect people with music via an application, a smartphone app. I would never compare my 2.5-year-old son Owen to my dog Reggie, but I do love them both very much. And, for Reggie, I use Rover to find a dog walker for him that I trust and to care for him when we're gone. And that's not what we're doing with the Sound Academy, but in the same sense, you're looking for someone nearby who has a skill set that you hope to maybe leverage in a
Mhm.
super low stakes setting for a budgeted amount that is probably much less than what the professional at a very prestigious maybe organization would teach. And hopefully we become prestigious, but we're not going to take ourselves too seriously. We just want to get you in front of the music that you want. We source instruments for people, so that's baked into our offering model right now, right? A lot of kids don't have an instrument yet, or some people are looking for their instrument. I
Mhm.
have people who know a lot about instruments and can very quickly maybe help you find what's right for you. Hopefully I'm okay at it as well. But anyway, so we're hoping to bring that any question you have about learning your instrument or wanting to go log into this spot, quickly type what you're looking for or press on what you're looking for, and be surfaced up people who are pre-vetted, absolutely safe,
Mhm.
teachers at a budget and a kind of a skill level and a comfortability that you're ready for.
Mhm. Yeah, so it sounds like part of your big vision is applying technology
Yeah.
to this,
Yeah,
and
how
looking at it
far
through a tech.
how
Mhm.
in short, and I should have been more brief, but, like, how far can technology take getting people, like, teachers and students together?
Yeah, yeah.
And how easy can it be made while still being totally, totally safe
Mhm.
and community friendly, of course.
Yeah, and that brings music learning to many more people in the community ultimately.
Yep.
And I really, think that's a really astute maneuver to incorporate music and instrument rentals with the instruction, because for most of us, like myself included, it's a separate process. And maybe your instructor or your music school lets you know some options to go to, but it's not all in one, and it creates that additional process. And especially for those instruments that get larger, the
Yeah,
larger the kid
right.
becomes,
Yes, for
you
sure.
know, Yeah, we're just like having this revolving door of going back to get the instrument that properly fits their, their body at that stage. And it would be really nice if that could just be consolidated, collapsed into one process. So it's really great that you do that for your community.
Yeah, and not to go big picture business again, but I'm trying to I do think a lot about, is there anyone not winning from this model? Local guitar shops want to move their guitars. I promise local guitar shops one of their primary goals, because I go to a lot of them. It's probably spend too much time in them. Their
Mhm.
goals are to get music in the hands of kids. That's one of the biggest buyers of a new acoustic guitar, for example, is a kid getting his first guitar.
Mhm.
That's a huge day. Man, like, you don't forget that day if it means something to you and you follow through on it. So my point is, if it's driving a couple $100 to the music facility so that a parent can get the best birthday gift for their kid possible. Yeah, you get what I'm getting at. Like, no
Yep.
one's not winning from that. And like I said originally, if there's one goal, it's simply to allow a student who wouldn't have otherwise had an opportunity to play music to play music.
Mhm. Yeah. What do you wish someone had told you before you started the Portland Sound Academy?
I hope this doesn't come off as sounding arrogant by any means.
Oh, get ready. I'm kidding.
No.
Buckle up. Okay.
Well, I've already talked enough maybe about like leaning on your community and asking for
Yeah.
help, of course, and guidance. It's super important. But on the flip side, trust yourself.
Mhm.
Um, you know more about your idea than someone else does. It's living in you constantly. It's constantly updating and
Yeah.
like evolving, even for yourself. Heck, we'll hang up the
Mhm.
phone and I'll be like, gosh, I wish I would have told Ariel this new thing I thought about. Maybe we'll get
Mhm.
another chance and opportunity. But one of my favorite movies is, I mentioned sci-fi, The Matrix. Know thyself. Like I mentioned earlier, I I think sometimes feedback, while it's great and you want to lean on the right people, it's not all good. It
Yeah.
doesn't all need to be taken straight to heart to be contextualized into your project. It might not fit, and you can spend time like wondering about it or running with it and it not working, for example. Or like I
Mhm.
said, just know yourself and know that you can even practice doing this in the moment. Like, people are going to give you feedback as you share this with them. Most people will be like, that's really cool. I'm really proud that you have taken that step in your life. Others will be like, well, how do you plan to do this? You're going to really run into problems here. Same thing as being a parent, right? You're never going to sleep again. Well,
Yep.
that's what I signed up for. I signed up for
Mhm.
this challenge. I signed up to do all this. So respectfully, I have to set that aside and move on.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult to do in the early stages when you don't have maybe your like inner needle or barometer pointed. It's like
Mhm.
you're trying to figure out where it's pointing and people are telling you this and that. It's like your barometer you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And like I said, just listen to yourself and take the next step. That's all you have to keep doing.
Yeah, trusting your inner wisdom, and
Mhm.
if you have that inclination to start something, putting it out there, just get going, just get started, not perfectly, but building that momentum is, yeah, that's solid.
Mhm. Yep. Surround yourself with good people. Even if you're trying to create the next $1 billion business, but a
Yeah.
community-based thing, these things are still true. You gotta act with integrity. You've gotta have an intent behind your vision. You have to have a developing vision. We're not all like, I think we all need the money and all that, but
Yeah.
my dad used to always say, if money grew on trees, we'd all just plant them and rake. But
That's
it
real.
doesn't. Yeah. You have
Be a
to go out
farmer.
and you have to like, you have to
A
go
whole
out and
orchard. Yeah.
build relationships and
Mhm.
do all that stuff, and it'll show up for you.
Yeah. You brought up your favorite movie, and I just have to bring up mine just because I want to.
Please.
8 Mile. 8 Mile is a great movie.
Oh, it's so good.
And you're B-Rabbit in your life. So sometimes you gotta go. You gotta write your raps. You know, the battle. You're fighting your own battle and you'll win. But you gotta go reflect. You gotta take the losses and you turn them into wins, you know? So although we experience many defeats, we must not be defeated. So I just had to put in 8 Mile because it's a great
that movie, man. Seriously, for any entrepreneur, especially in a creative space that needs just watch that video every morning you wake up. Watch the rap battle. Watch the end of it.
Exactly.
You need a little bit of a kick in the rear to be like, man, do I need to get going? But don't ever. What's the saying? Like, don't ever take advice from someone
you wouldn't switch places with, which is
whatever it is. I'm messing that up here towards the end of our pod, but you don't need to. It's okay, and you don't have to tell them like, "Hey, I appreciate it, but that's not what I'm gonna do." Just like I said, you're gonna meet an inordinate amount of people, especially if you're working any sort of community-based entrepreneurship. Like your masts, keep your masts full and keep your ship sailing ahead.
Yeah,
you know.
Something my mom says, and it's a much more like gracious iteration of it. It's consider the source. If I'm like, that's Mom, the best. They were like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, consider the source.
Yes. Very important.
Yes, with really everything. It's just solid in general. All right. So, Seth, as we wrap up our time together, my last question. So if someone in the Portland Metro, they want to get their kids into a Portland Sound Academy session, or if an instructor in your network wants to get involved, where should they go?
Yeah. Well, thanks again so much, Ariel, for having me. This has been so fun. I hope we can do more of it. Right now, if someone would like to get in touch with us, you can visit us. You can email us directly at pdxsoundacademy@gmail.com. Our forms go straight to there, and that's how all of our tracking is done. You can also visit us on Instagram at Portland Sound Academy. That's again at Portland Sound Academy. That one's spelled out. The email is pdxsoundacademy@gmail.com. And like I said, we hope to have our website more fully launched with fully capable lessons, content, videos, all those great things. And that will be portlandsoundacademy.com, www.portlandsoundacademy.com. So hopefully maybe once this comes out, we'll that'll be live too. So try it.
All right, everyone. And that's a wrap for our conversation with Seth Miller, the founder and CEO of Portland Sound Academy. Again, you can click those links in the show notes to learn more. Thank you so much, Seth.
Thanks so much, Ariel. Have a great day.
And one more thing. Remember, I'm building Enrops, finally, an all-in-one platform built specifically for kids, enrichment, entrepreneurs, and operators. We're talking everything all in the same place. Finally, from scheduling to instructor management to partner and parent communication to onboarding and registration, all of it. I built it because we need it. So go to getenrops.com to get on the list. See you next episode. And that's a wrap. Know someone who needs to hear this episode? Share it because
sharing is caring.
If this episode earned it, give us all the stars in a review on whatever platform you're listening on because it helps other enrichment entrepreneurs find this show.
Until next time, keep learning, keep building.